and I'm here to speak about some tips for getting better sleep and also some of the bad things that happen when you don't get enough sleep. Sleep. Why is sleep so important?
Do you lie at night in your bed, tossing and turning, not being able to fall asleep? Do you wake up in the night not able to fall back asleep? Do you wake up in the morning feeling not so refreshed, fatigued throughout the
Today we are going to be talking about one of people's most favorite topics, aside from food of course, sleep!
Welcome to video 1 of Critical Sleep. I will be your host as we explore the historical and societal context for the way we conceptualize sleep today. It is clear that we are living in a current culture obsessed with sleep, and more specifically, good sleep. In this series, we will dive deeper than the clickbait and the current socio-political moment. First, we need to define sleep. Sleep is both a verb and a noun that, according to the dictionary, is the resting state in which the body is not active and the mind is unconscious. However, this definition is very imprecise. When we talk about going to sleep for the night, we are actually talking about a very unique and nuanced physiological process. Additionally, sleep is about way more than just resting. It also is essential to learning, memory, and synaptic plasticity. The way we scientifically understand sleep is through two main stages, non-REM and REM. About 75% of sleep occurs in non-REM sleep, and 25% is REM. Dreaming occurs during the REM stage. Sleep timing, meaning the time we go to sleep and wake up, is influenced by homeostatic and circadian factors. In fact, as recently as 2017, it was found that in our cells we have genes that help us predict when the sun will go up and down. Stay tuned for more episodes of Critical Sleep.
An alarm clock calls time on a unique experiment. Two Chicago University experts, who in the service of science have been living in the depths of Mother Earth for more than a month, end their test. Bruce Richardson on the bunk and Dr. Nathaniel Kleitman have been studying the cycle of sleep.
Hello, and welcome to video 2 of Critical Sleep. In this episode, in order to better understand sleep, we need to look back into history. This episode relies heavily on the work done by Benjamin Rees, and I highly recommend you read his book, Wild Nights. Virtually nothing about our standard model of sleep existed as we know it 2 centuries ago. Until the industrial era in Europe, only the aristocracy had private sleeping rooms. And for almost all of humanity's existence before this, and still in many parts of the world, sleeping communally with families is and has been the standard. In fact, many strangers slept in the same bed when they were traveling in the 1800s. However, by the late 1800s, in Europe and America, many doctors began to call for private sleeping quarters. It is hard to point to a single evolutionary basis or social development for sleep patterns, but the evolution and creation of lighting and electricity certainly fundamentally changed sleep patterns, because now humans could manipulate our sleep cycle, and workers could work in factories throughout the night and sleep during the day. Many of today's modern scientific understandings of sleep began to be developed in the mid-1900s, with Nathaniel Kleitman's studies of circadian rhythms in the 1930s, and of course, Dr. Ment's breakthroughs about many topics, including REM sleep and dreaming starting in the 1950s. Altogether, most of what we, meaning people like me, raised in Western capitalist societies, think of as normal sleep is not normal at all, and rather a product of circumstance, history, and the countries and societies we grow up in. Welcome to episode 3 of Critical Sleep. In this episode, we will learn about sleep inequalities. Sleep, although it is a universal human experience, has been used as an oppressive tool and been intimately shaped by structural inequalities for centuries now. Sleep in the past and now in the present has divided people into different classes based on accessibility to a good night's sleep. In the present, lower income people and predominantly people of color are more likely to work longer hours, work night shifts, not have access to a quiet, comfortable, and secure place to sleep. There is a state-sanctioned betrayal of the bedroom of the most marginalized people in America, especially Black women. This is manifested in the horrific killing of Breonna Taylor, when she was murdered by police asleep in her bedroom. There is historical precedence for this betrayal of sleep. With the institution of slavery in the United States, white people who enslaved Black people often punished enslaved people by refusing to allow them to sleep enough hours. We can see then how the institution of white supremacy in the United States takes away the freedom and right to sleep from marginalized peoples. Internment camps, and now the immigration detention centers at the southern border of the United States are places where this freedom was and is taken away every day. It is impossible to talk about sleep without understanding how structural inequality is impacting every aspect of how we experience sleep, and therefore experience well-being, safety, and care.
Have you ever wondered how the rich and famous get their beauty sleep?
Oh yeah, entertainment and lifestyle expert Josh McBride is here with 5 things we can do to slumber just like the stars. Well, when I came across all these items on Amazon, which are specifically catered for people that do not sleep.
In today's video, we're going to talk about the 10 sleeping gadgets that you should have to enjoy a great sleep.
Welcome to episode 4, the final episode of Critical Sleep. In this video, we will touch on the commodification of sleep. Getting better sleep and fixing disordered sleep is a huge subject today. Some of the biggest disorders that people have include insomnia, which is trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, sleep apnea, where your airway becomes blocked, which can lead to snoring and trouble breathing, and restless leg syndrome, which involves uncomfortable sensations in the leg or urges to move one's leg. However, like most medical diagnoses in the United States, white people are more likely to be diagnosed with insomnia, displaying an inequality that stretches across all systems of life in the United States, including healthcare. Even for people without disordered sleep, many of us struggle with getting a good night's rest. An entire industry has sprung up around sleep in the past couple of decades, resulting in a sleep industry that was valued at $432 billion in 2019 and projected to grow to be worth over $500 billion in 2024. Sleep is a commodity that the wealthy and the middle class in the United States will pay heavily for. Perhaps the best illustration of this commodification of sleep is in the many devices and apps that have sprung up. I myself use an app to track my sleep every single night, and the increasing prevalence of sleep products is illustrated in this timeline visualization. I believe this commodification and people and companies' ability to profit immensely off of basic human functions such as sleep has dangerous implications, including data privacy ones. And I hope that because of this video and through previous episodes of Critical Sleep, you have begun to think a little deeper about sleep, realize misconceptions you might have had, and feel inspired to work towards making the world and the area of sleep into a more equitable, healthy, and safe place for all of us. Thank you for following along with this journey of critical sleep.